Centuries before the Europeans arrived in the New World, more than 30 Native American tribes revered this land. It was an uncommonly beautiful place, this land that was to become North Carolina, a land of thundering waterfalls and ancient mountains, of meandering rivers and mighty forests, a land that rose gently out of the sea. In North Carolina, you can discover a world of awe-inspiring wonders, wonders that put life in perspective. These wonders include the poignant mystery of the lost colony and the fate of the first English child born in America. The graveyard of the Atlantic, where more than 5,000 ships have been lost navigating the shallow, swirling waters of Cape Fear, Cape Lookout, and Cape Hatteras. The tallest brick lighthouse in the world, Cape Hatteras Light, today standing perilously close to the same fate suffered by the many ships claimed by the sea. The highest natural dune in eastern America at Jockey's Ridge, and not far to the north where man first learned to fly. The wonders of North Carolina also include the largest natural habitat zoo in the world, and the 470-mile-long Blue Ridge Parkway featuring the most complicated concrete bridge ever built. Men with big dreams created places like Pinehurst, the golf capital of the world, and the Biltmore Estate, the nation's grandest chateau. But nature has been North Carolina's most prolific architect. Its own version of a Gothic cathedral can be found at Joyce-Kilmer Forest, where 800-year-old trees reach to the sky in one of the last great virgin stands of forest. There's the dizzying spectacle of eastern America's grandest canyon and the fury of the highest waterfall east of the Rockies. Presiding over all is the highest mountain in eastern America, Mount Mitchell, 6,684 feet above the sea. And North Carolina is where the wonders never cease. It's where visitors and residents alike can be touched by these things and never forget. The embrace of clouds around a mountain peak, sparkling water forever in a hurry, a bridge less traveled, an enchanted wetland forest, and a place where the sun meets the sea.
North Carolina, a video travel guide, is a tour of the state's most fascinating travel destinations. With sandy beaches stretching over 300 miles, you might be interested in public beach access. Or maybe you're here for folk arts and crafts, a variety of museums, waterfalls, or fun places to take the kids. This is a state of great golf courses and world-famous spectator sports. Those who like to get in on the action can explore challenging cycling highways, scenic hiking trails, wet and wild rivers, or relaxing train rides. There are ferries to take you to remote islands, famous lighthouses, or popular aquariums. Maybe you're looking for a special gift to take back home, or you might be here to do some serious shopping. Whether it's uptown sophistication, down-home charm, or just yourself you're looking for, you can find it here. Southern hospitality is one of North Carolina's most abundant resources. You'll find welcome centers and visitors bureaus throughout the state, and friendly hosts ever ready to help you find your destination. And at the end of this video, there will be numbers to call to receive more detailed information about specific points of interest and accommodations. As you drive, North Carolina's width of 543 miles separates the mountains and the coast by as much as 11 hours by car. 5 interstate highways in the state link the major metropolitan centers such as Charlotte, Asheville, Greensboro, Raleigh-Durham, and Wilmington. Off the interstates, there are excellent state roads and scenic byways. And throughout the state, be on the lookout for the brown road signs that indicate directions to travel destinations. Regardless of the season, there's a good chance you'll catch one of the hundreds of festivals and events that occur each year. A few may be too hard to explain to the folks back home, like the Gee-Haw Whimmy-Diddle competition.
That's Haw. Now give me G. G's right and Haw's left. A Gee-Haw Whimmy-Diddle is a toy made of wood. It's a smart wood and trains easy like a good horse. G's right and Haw's left is horse talk. Now that's what the whole competition is about, is G and Haw.
One weekend you might find the sky filled with stunt kites, while at another time it might be hot air balloons racing across the countryside. The need to communicate over great distances eventually turned into the National Hollerin' Contest, held each year in Spivey's Corner. And every July, it's the sound of bagpipes that's heard at the Grandfather Mountain Highland Games, regarded as the finest annual gathering of Scots in North America. A number will be provided at the end of this program, so you can request a complete schedule of North Carolina events. The lay of the land and the daily endeavors of its people have divided North Carolina into the regions of the coast, the Piedmont, and the mountains. This tour begins at the coast.
While the Spaniard de Soto had already explored sections of the future state years earlier, it was along these shores that North Carolina's English history is considered to have begun. Just north of Manteo, visit the Fort Raleigh National Historic Site, the birthplace of English America. A restored earthworks and museum tell the story of Sir Walter Raleigh's ill-fated effort to establish an English-speaking colony in the New World. A short walk away is the stage of the oldest outdoor drama in the nation. Each summer, the lost colony brings to life the triumphs and hardships of the Roanoke voyages. At the same location are the Elizabethan Gardens, where native plants and flowers have been sculpted into a 16th century pleasure garden. While contemplating the courage and daring of the early colonists, stop in at the Elizabeth II State Historic Site at the Manteo waterfront. A vessel that represents 16th century ship design and named for a ship in Raleigh's 1585 crossing, the Elizabeth II offers tours, complete with costumes and accents during the summer season.
The quaint shops of Manteo provide a good way to ease back into the modern era before heading west on US 64 to one of North Carolina's fascinating aquariums. The Shark Tank is just one of the many displays and educational activities that feature the amazing underwater and above-water worlds of North Carolina. Across the Roanoke Sound and about 8 miles north is a place that forever changed the world, Kill Devil Hills. At the Wright Brothers National Memorial, you can retrace the paths of man's first flights and enjoy lectures featuring a replica of the original plane.
This is where the powered flights took place. This is Kill Devil Hills. That, in 1900, was only a geographic place name for 4 very large natural dunes like that one.
4 miles south, you can relive the same exhilaration the Wright brothers felt by stopping in at Jockey's Ridge State Park, site of the largest hang gliding school in the world.
That was better, huh?
Or kick off your shoes for a strenuous hike to the summit.
For an even higher perspective of the ribbon of barrier islands known as the Outer Banks, head north to Corolla, but drive cautiously because here wild ponies roam freely. You'll also discover the picturesque Currituck Beach Lighthouse, where visitors are welcome to climb the 158-foot tower for an unforgettable view. In fact, all of North Carolina's 8 lighthouses are proud symbols of man's centuries-old struggle with his adversary, the sea. Beyond the entrance of America's first national seashore, Cape Hatteras, you'll encounter the Body Island Light with its distinctive horizontal bands of black and white.
Across Highway 12 at Coquina Beach, there's a stark reminder that sometimes the lighthouses were no match for the power of nature. The remains of the 4-masted schooner Laura Barnes are among many such wrecks along the seashore accessible to the public. Information is available at the Body Lighthouse Visitor Center. One of more than 30 scenic byways in North Carolina, NC 12 takes you to a remarkable place of courage and heroism. The life-saving station at Chickamaucomico preserves the incredible stories of countless rescues. The name boards of vessels such as Mary Lee, George Reed, and Kohler are reminders of the many ships that made the Outer Banks their final port.
Undisputedly, the universal symbol of North Carolina's maritime heritage is the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse. It's the world's tallest brick lighthouse at 208 feet, and its beacon still warns ships of the danger of diamond shoals up to 20 miles out. You can climb the lighthouse from June to October or visit the restored Keeper's House, which today serves as a museum. The romance of the sea and North Carolina's colorful history become more intriguing as you take a ferry across Hatteras Inlet to the inimitable island of Ocracoke, a favorite of those seeking solitude and isolation since the days of Blackbeard the pirate. Ocracoke is a walking town, so stroll down Howard Street. Or set foot on a small patch of land deeded to Great Britain, where 4 World War II Royal Navy sailors are buried. Across Silver Lake is Ocracoke Lighthouse, second oldest operating light in the nation. At the end of the day, fishing boats are moored. A late arriving schooner looks for an anchorage. And a solemn stillness settles over the island as the sun bids goodbye over the western Pamlico Sound.
For those heading to other parts of the coast, ferries depart Ocracoke for the mainland, and reservations are recommended. Travelers who think the beach is what the coast is all about will miss a captivating world of wetlands and wildlife, of history and charming accommodations. A tour through the mainland side of North Carolina Sounds might include stops at Somerset Place State Historic Site, a 19th century rice plantation. On the way to historic Windsor, plan your route to cross the Cashy River on the charming Sans Souci two-car ferry just off State Highway 308. And about 25 miles east of Murfreesboro, you'll come upon one of North Carolina's rarest ecological communities, Merchants Mill Pond State Park. Canoe rentals permit visitors to explore an enchanted forest where tree trunks and branches have been distorted into eerie shapes by mistletoe. A tour of the northeast coast of North Carolina wouldn't be complete without at least one overnight stay in Edenton. Called the South's prettiest town, Edenton was established in the late 1600s and offers tours to historic sites such as the Cupola House, St. Paul's Church, and Chowan County Courthouse.
Some coastal communities never grew much beyond their 18th century foundations. Almost 300 years old, Bath was a major port, an early provincial capital, and a favorite of the pirate Blackbeard. Today, the local sailors are less villainous, but the architecture remains. St. Thomas Church is the oldest brick church in the state. As the capital, Bath was succeeded by Newbern on the Trent and Neuse rivers. This is a city rich in historical treasures, many within walking distance of Tryon Palace historic sites and gardens. The restored palace of a royal governor is filled with ornate antiques and works of art. Allow plenty of time to explore the many fine homes, galleries, museums, and shops in the district. Southeast on US 70 lies North Carolina's Crystal Coast and the southern Outer Banks. Here you'll find Cape Lookout National Seashore, anchored by the remote Lookout Light. Passenger ferries depart from Harker's Island. Over 50 miles of uninhabited barrier islands have been preserved for camping, fishing, and shell collecting.
One of the most quaint and charming waterfront towns you'll ever see is Beaufort, where exquisite seafood, beautiful yachts, and laid-back music combine for a memorable time. There are historic homes and burying grounds, and inviting bed and breakfasts. Nautical curiosities can be enjoyed year-round at the North Carolina Maritime Museum. Across the street is the Harvey W. Smith Watercraft Center, where you can observe boat restoration, construction, and model boat building. One of two major ports of entry in the state, Beaufort Inlet was once protected by Fort Macon, a sophisticated example of early 19th century military architecture. Enjoying Fort Macon State Park for some includes lazy days in the surf and on the sand. In fact, North Carolina provides public beach access up and down the coast. Many areas feature lifeguards. On the occasional rainy day, a popular hangout is the aquarium at Pine Knoll Shores. The loggerhead turtle exhibit and touch tank will keep kids fascinated for hours.
Nature has provided coastal Carolina with its own exhibits, where you can enjoy hiking and bird watching in the Croatan National Forest, or take a passenger ferry to Hammocks Beach State Park to experience an unspoiled barrier island. The Port of Wilmington is the state's largest waterfront city and offers a diverse collection of historic homes, including the 1770 Burgwin Wright House, once occupied by Lord Cornwallis. Other worthwhile stops include Thalian Hall, a 19th century opera house that features productions year-round, and the Cape Fear Museum, featuring exhibits of social and natural history, as well as a 600-item Civil War collection. The restored waterfront at Market and Front Streets is a browser's paradise, with quaint shops, museums, and exceptional restaurants. There's even a 19th century replica stern paddle wheeler, providing cruises and dinner excursions. Across the river, a vessel built with more serious tasks in mind, the USS North Carolina. This was the first modern U.S. battleship and considered to be the greatest sea weapon of World War II. Visitors to the memorial can tour over 9 decks and learn how the story of its preservation is as inspirational as its legendary Pacific victories. Head down US 421 south from Wilmington to the site of one of the deadliest land invasions of the Civil War. Fort Fisher strategically defended the Cape Fear River and was the last major stronghold of the Confederacy. A visitor center includes exhibits, films, and items recovered from sunken blockade runners. Today, alligators defend against an invasion of tourists at the North Carolina Aquarium at Curie Beach.
North Carolina's ferry system provides vital connections for residents as well as tourists. The Southport Fort Fisher Ferry is a time-saving link across the Cape Fear River. From the ferry, you'll enter the alluring seaport town of Southport, the gateway to North Carolina's Brunswick Islands. Here, antique shops are accented with a rather salty flavor, and this down east part of the state offers up a rich stew of interest. The ornamental gardens of Orton Plantation. A pinch of history at Brunswick Town State Historic Site. And a dash of golf with championship courses at every turn.
Party of 10. Mitchell, party of 10.
Then, as the Carolina sun starts getting low, the crowds begin building in the town of Calabash, home of its very own style of seafood. And a sunset can be enjoyed practically anywhere in the Old North State, but there's no place that's more appropriate than here at Sunset Beach.
The Piedmont region of North Carolina blankets the state from the fertile fields that border the coastal plain to the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains. The Piedmont is home to the major population centers of the state, each with national reputations. The capital city of Raleigh and Durham, the city of medicine, frame the state's Research Triangle Park. First to get the call to arms, Fayetteville has a proud military tradition. Greensboro, High Point, and Winston-Salem provide the heartbeat of industry. And Charlotte towers over all as the center of banking and commerce. The history of the Piedmont is celebrated across the region. Sites dating to the 1700s include Bethabara Park in Winston-Salem, where you can tour an 18th century Moravian village and a French and Indian war fort. The nation's first revolutionary stirrings occurred here in historic Halifax with the signing of the Halifax Resolves. The 1770 house in the Horseshoe was the site of a skirmish between the Whigs and the Tories. Later, it was the home of a governor. Once a state capital, Hillsborough was often the 18th century touchstone for citizens' rights, and today features blocks of historic structures. One of 3 American presidents born in the Tar Heel state, James K. Polk, was born here in Pineville near Charlotte. The Polk administration had the foresight to annex California before gold was discovered there. But before the great gold rush of '49, a 12-year-old boy found a nugget the size of a brick here just west of Charlotte.
Most of the time the pieces of gold are so small that you can't even see them with your naked eye down inside this white quartz.
The Reed Gold Mine tells the story of the nation's first gold rush. You can even pan for gold. And it wasn't gold, but golden leaf that launched the empire of the Duke family of Durham. The small tobacco processing operation at Duke Homestead eventually became the largest tobacco company in the world. Military historians will find a well-marked trail to the fields of war in North Carolina, an armed rebellion of backcountry farmers called Regulators against the Royal Militia occurred here in 1771, honored today as the Alamance Battleground. 10 years later, shots were being traded in a pivotal Revolutionary War encounter in the Battle of Guilford Courthouse north of Greensboro. Today, the site is the nation's first designated military park. "80,000 Union and Confederate troops fought one of the last major battles of the Civil War, and the site is known today as the Bentonville Battleground. Uniformed guides offer demonstrations and tours through a field hospital. The Civil War in the Carolinas, Georgia, and Florida ended here in a simple farmhouse just west of Durham. Bennett Place is where Generals Sherman and Johnston signed surrender papers for the Southern Confederate armies. To complete a tour of North Carolina's military tradition, visit the 82nd Airborne Division War Memorial Museum at Fayetteville's Fort Bragg. The reservation is the nation's largest military complex open to the public. A surprising characteristic about the Piedmont is that despite its cosmopolitan image, it is as much country as city. Not far from the centers of commerce, you can visit places where they do business the old-fashioned way. And an occasional covered bridge is a reminder of an old road less traveled.
From the Wright Flyer to an inbound London flight, North Carolina's license plates lay claim to first in flight. But the state's fascination with transportation really revolves around the train. Travel the tracks throughout North Carolina, and you'll find a railroad museum on almost every corner.
There's a fascination about trains. I really don't know what it is, but most of boys and men love trains, and I'm sure a lot of ladies.
The Transportation Museum at Spencer offers exhibits for car lovers as well. In fact, Tar Heel's love of the automobile has developed into a fast-paced industry. Speedways at Rockingham and Charlotte host major NASCAR races. And of course, if you're a racing fan and you're in the Piedmont, you have to visit Level Cross at the Richard Petty Museum and pay homage to the king. From the small to the large, the Piedmont's museums may be the most fuel-efficient way to appreciate the mosaic of Carolina culture. The author O. Henry is remembered by his boyhood home at the Greensboro Historical Museum. And the valiant lunch counter sit-in during the Civil Rights Movement is retold in another exhibit at the museum. Considered among the finest buildings designed as a museum and the largest repository devoted to Tar Heel heritage is the North Carolina Museum of History on Bicentennial Plaza in Raleigh. Among the most popular destinations for inquiring minds are the Piedmont Science Museums.
He's smelling, he's wondering what this smell is in front of him right now. Okay? So this is Forbes.
A vacation devoted to art appreciation might begin in Raleigh and head west. Stops include the North Carolina Museum of Art, with galleries devoted to classical periods and Old Master European paintings. The Ackland Art Museum in Chapel Hill. The Duke University Museum of Art in Durham. The North Carolina Central Museum of Art, featuring some of the nation's finest African American pieces. The Ranolda House Museum of American Art, offering 3 centuries of major paintings, prints, and sculptures. The Southeastern Center for Contemporary Art, also in Winston-Salem. And the Mint Museum of Art in Charlotte. Originally built to process gold from the nearby Reed Gold Mine, today the Mint features an exciting collection of paintings, sculptures, furniture, and costumes. Now, before anyone gets the impression that the Piedmont is just about museums, the parks and lakes of the region are the original nature museums. If your Piedmont sightseeing plans are more destination specific, here are some additional places not to miss.
A walking tour through Raleigh can begin at the Greek Revival-inspired State Capitol building. Docents conduct 30-minute tours of the old Senate and House chambers, the restored library, and cabinet of minerals, and may include a peek at the governor's office. The Executive Mansion is 2 blocks away and is an excellent example of the Victorian influence on Raleigh's architecture. Durham's architectural standout is clearly the neo-Gothic Duke Chapel with its 210-foot tower and 1 million pieces of stained glass. And within sound of the chapel's chimes are the 35 acres of the Sarah Duke Gardens. Less than 10 miles south is the nation's first state university, the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Here you can take a guided walking tour of a leader in education for over 200 years.
An hour's drive south from Chapel Hill takes you to North Carolina's Sand Hills. When James Walker Tufts purchased 5,000 acres of sandy pine barren to develop a golf resort known as Pinehurst, he must have been a man with vision. Tufts then hired Scotsman Donald Ross, who built course number 2. Almost 100 years later, it still challenges the world's best. Yet even before the U.S. Open is played there in '99, Ross's other masterpiece, Pine Needles Resort, hosts the '96 U.S. Women's Open. But there's more than golf in the golf capital of the world. Equestrian events, hiking trails, historic shopping districts, and quiet country inns make this a world in itself. West of Pinehurst is Town Creek Indian Mound State Historic Site, the location of a 500-year-old ceremonial center. And to the north, an abundance of clay and minerals made the village of Seagrove what some say is the pottery capital of the world. Over 60 shops yield the artistry of 9 generations of potters. The hands of Nell Cole Graves have been turning pots for over 80 years.
In the city of Burlington, what's turning these days is a 1910 Denzel Menagerie carousel. Emerald Point Water Park in Greensboro is a hot spot for summer fun, while the North Carolina Zoological Park in Asheboro provides year-round wonders. At the world's largest natural habitat zoo, you can safari through a 300-acre African region, the R.J. Reynolds Aviary, and come face-to-face with polar bears at the North American exhibit. And what little child goes through life without cherishing a doll? High Point's Angela Peterson Doll and Miniature Museum features over 1,600 dolls from America and 53 other countries. Next door, you'll find the Furniture Discovery Center, where visitors can follow the sequence of furniture construction.
This is the last time we're leaving, okay?
North of Greensboro, near the town of Reedsville, is the remarkable Chinquapin Plantation. This 27-room English countryside mansion houses a worldly collection of exquisite artifacts and treasures ranging from 1100 BC to 60s Americana. In Winston-Salem, take a carriage ride through 200 years of history at the restored German Moravian village of Old Salem. Along the streets, the inviting smells of freshly baked bread and the rhythmic tapping of a silversmith will delight your every sense. Patience and tender loving care have brought a little bit of France to Forsyth County. West Bend Vineyards near Louisville is producing award-winning wines from 40 acres of European varietal grapes. Tours and tastings are available Fridays and weekends.
Within the gravitational influence of the Queen City of Charlotte, destinations include Cannon Village and Visitor Center in Kannapolis, where the state's textile heritage is honored. If you're uptown, make a point to visit the Charlotte Observer OmniMax Theater, featuring the largest screen in cinematic history. And across the street is Spirit Square, a center for performing arts. On the south side of Charlotte, you'll find Paramount's Carowinds, a theme park that combines movie magic with theme park thrills. For a quieter experience, head west to Belmont to tour the Daniel Stowe Botanical Garden, a destination with a reputation that's growing. But if you're looking for a place to lift your spirits, plan a visit to Statesville on the weekend of the National Balloon Rally.
Bye!
For 3 days, over 100 hot air balloons lift off on a race across the Piedmont countryside.
If the ocean, sounds, and backwater creeks of the coast instill a sense of our historical and evolutionary beginnings, and the Piedmont and the urban heartland thrive with the energy of progress and the headlong rush to the future, it is up on top of North Carolina's ancient, time-worn mountains where life is honed down to its essential elements, and people cling to what's most precious, and where there's nothing above them but the heavens. The Blue Ridge Parkway. From the Virginia border, it winds for 255 miles through North Carolina, ending rather unceremoniously at Great Smoky Mountains National Park. The ceremony occurs along the way at the many overlooks, exhibits, and parks that tell the story of the Southern Appalachian Mountains and the people who live there. Learn of the unique geology of the mountains at Stone Mountain State Park, where climbers and gazers alike marvel at the 600-foot-high granite rock. Nearby Stone Mountain Falls is a worthwhile 20-minute walk on a level trail. Due south of Stone Mountain is the mountain gateway town of Wilkesboro, where a walking tour will lead you to the old Wilkes Jail, famous for its role in the Ballad of Tom Dooley. NC-18 will take you back up to the Parkway and to a village called Glendale Springs. There you'll find a small 19th century church housing nationally renowned works of art. The frescoes of Holy Trinity Church are of a contemporary style of Michelangelo, painted by a Florentine-trained North Carolina artist. Additional frescoes can be viewed at St. Mary's Episcopal in West Jefferson. Both churches are open to the public each day.
Farther south on the parkway, the towns of Boone, Blowing Rock, and Banner Elk create a major Blue Ridge destination. Here you'll find a historic general store, rustic inns, and exhilarating winter sports. Points of interest include the Hickory Ridge Homestead and the outdoor drama Horn in the West, telling the story of Daniel Boone, who helped settle the area. A narrow-gauge steam locomotive thrills train lovers at Tweetsie Railroad. And the Blowing Rock provides visitors with spectacular views, in addition to returning objects tossed from the cliff, or so the story goes. Before venturing back on the parkway, be sure to explore the bustling shopping district of downtown Blowing Rock. And if you can't find what you're looking for there, stop off at the Moses Cone Manor and Craft Shop at milepost 295.
While the parkway speed limit is 45, you'll want to drive a little slower as you approach the Lynn Cove Viaduct near milepost 304. It took 52 years to invent a way to complete the last 7.5 miles of parkway without damaging one of the world's oldest mountains. Built from the top down and touching the mountain with just 7 pilings, the 1,200-foot viaduct is the most complicated concrete bridge ever built. A visitor center is just to the south. Just around the bend is the highest peak in the Blue Ridge Mountains and the only privately owned biosphere preserve in the world, Grandfather Mountain. Crossing the mile-high suspension bridge is just the beginning of the excitement, as Grandfather features 6 natural animal and eagle habitats, a nature museum, and breathtaking hikes and scenery. Only 10 miles south is America's deepest abyss east of the Grand Canyon, Linville Gorge. Forever protected as a wilderness area, Linville Gorge presents a formidable challenge to hikers and rock climbers. Linville Falls at the head of the gorge is accessible to less experienced thrill seekers from a parking area off the parkway. Still, the overlooks are not for the faint-hearted.
If you encounter cyclists on the parkway, take pity on them. They could be riding the 700-mile-long NC Bike 2, which follows the parkway for 127 miles. Bike 2 is the Mountains to the Sea route that begins in the far western town of Murphy and eventually winds up in the coastal town of Manteo. Through this tunnel, the road takes you to a place where the very name evokes a sense of being in the Alps. And a little farther south is the pastoral Crabtree Meadows, where a moderate 1-mile trail leads down to Crabtree Falls.
Soon you'll notice that the elevation on the parkway steadily increases as the road leaves the Blue Ridge for the imposing Black Mountain Range. It's in the Black Mountains where Mount Mitchell reigns supreme. The rarefied air, swirling mists, and Canadian zone vegetation make this a world apart. An observation tower and museum are a short, if not heart-pumping, walk from the parking area. And the stories of the mountain's namesake and the demise of the trees are both sobering tales. If you plan a more extensive hike into the state park, be prepared for plummeting temperatures any time of the year.
Just as the parkway ascends the flanks of the Black Mountains from the north, it just as quickly descends, heading south to Asheville. Passing through Craggy Gardens, a popular place to view rhododendron in bloom around mid-June. Nearby are the dramatic Glass Mine Falls at milepost 360. about 18 miles south is the Folk Arts Center, featuring the work of the Southern Highland Handicraft Guild. Demonstrations, a museum, and a gift shop thrill visitors of all ages. From the Parkway, US 70 and I-40 lead you to the Asheville area, where the list of things to see and do could keep you here for days.
Some of the favorite sons of American literature either learned their craft or perfected it here. At this state historic site, recall the life of Asheville native Thomas Wolfe, who authored Look Homeward Angel and You Can't Go Home Again. Others, like Carl Sandburg, came to nearby Flat Rock late in life and decided to call it home. At this National Historic Site, you can almost feel the presence of the Pulitzer Prize-winning poet as you walk through his study. For over 100 years, people have been coming to this mountain resort area to enjoy its refreshing climate. George W. Vanderbilt chose to build his country home here, and today the Biltmore Estate thrills hundreds of thousands of visitors each year with its remarkable furnishings, gardens, and winery. A favorite of presidents, industrialists, and even Thomas Edison, the Grove Park Inn has awed guests with its massive stone fireplaces since 1913.
Other historic points of interest in the Asheville area include the Mountain Gateway Museum at Old Fort, which relates the stories of early pioneers. If you like to own a piece of history, visit the eclectic town of Black Mountain, home to over 75 antique dealers and shops, featuring the region's most accomplished artists and craftsmen. 20 miles south of Asheville, Hendersonville is another shopping mecca. Film scouts shopping for locations have chosen the Lake Lure and Chimney Rock area as the shooting site for several popular movies. The perfect location for home movies, or just a place to meditate, is Pearson's Falls in Saluda. The falls make an ideal stop while visiting the Carl Sandburg home just a few miles away, and might even inspire some poetry of your own.
The southern route to western North Carolina takes you to Brevard, known for its summer music festivals, and as a gateway to the Pisgah National Forest. This is also a place to hear the water music of nature. Looking Glass Falls is a favorite stop. Summer in the Pisgah National Forest can also bring the sounds of chilling screams. Accepting a dare to take a slippery slide down the cold, clear water of Sliding Rock is a North Carolina tradition. But a good excuse to decline might be a visit to the Cradle of Forestry National Historic Site just up US 276. Nearby, the Blue Ridge Parkway leads to the Great Balsam Mountains and Shining Rock Wilderness area. Here, hikers enjoy Yellowstone Falls and 360-degree views from 6,000-foot grassy balls. And if it's waterfalls you're looking for, State Highway 215 will take you in the right direction. In the Nantahala National Forest, there are plenty of waterfalls to satisfy your desires. Some you pass under by car. Others by foot. But at 441 feet high, you have to stand well back to fully appreciate White Waterfalls, highest in eastern America.
The nearby resort communities of Lake Toxaway, Sapphire, and Cashers make this the land of mountain golf courses. many so beautiful that double bogeys don't dampen golfers' spirits. Visitors who wish to take home more than memories can find both quality and variety in Highlands. An abundance of local artisans provide a wide range of one-of-a-kind creations. Murphy is the westernmost city in North Carolina. Points of interest nearby are the John C. Campbell Folk School, the Cherokee County Historical Museum, and Jackrabbit Mountain Recreation Area. US 19 heads north from Murphy to the exciting wonders of the Nantahala Gorge, the whitewater headquarters of the Southeast. Here, rafting trips of all levels can be organized on 5 area rivers.
The Snowbird Mountains to the west are where you can see the forest named for the author of Trees. Joyce Kilmer Forest is the last remaining vestige of virgin forest in the Smokies. Hiking trails pass below oak, poplar, and hemlock 20 feet in circumference to a memorial to the soldier poet. Travel itineraries in this area should include the Fontana Lake and Dam, one of America's remarkable examples of human ingenuity and courage. With scenery rivaling Norwegian fjords, NC 28 takes you to the highest concrete dam east of the Rockies. The Welcome Center relates a fascinating story of how the dam was built over 50 years ago in the remote reaches of the mountains. Walk across the top of the dam and you've hiked about a half mile of the Appalachian Trail. North Carolina's 285 miles of the National Scenic Trail mostly follows the ridge tops, while down in the hollows and gorges of the Nantahala and Smokies, the Great Smoky Mountain Railway transports folks on scenic trips through ancient Cherokee lands.
Called the Little Town of Magic, Dillsboro features a quaint historic walking district famous for antiques and crafts, and on some evenings, toe-tapping tunes. The town of Waynesville has developed quite a reputation for its folk festival, and as home to the nation's oldest ramp eating contest. However, if the town's not eating this pungent cross between onions and garlic while you're there, count your blessings and visit the Museum of North Carolina Handicrafts. In the town of Maggie Valley, an innocent ride on a chairlift puts you right in the middle of a gunfight. Ghost Town in the Sky has been entertaining families with Wild West shows and rides for 3 generations.
No, I don't.
You can't ride them, but they sure make a camping trip in the mountains less demanding. Llama treks can provide a variety of expeditions, from one-day treks to 3-day Carolina wilderness adventures. If resting by a mountain stream while the campsite and a gourmet dinner are prepared for you sounds appealing, try a llama trek. You may even make a new friend.
Over the ages, western North Carolina has seen many changes, but for thousands of years, the greatest presence in the shadows of the Smokies has been the Cherokee Indian. Visitors learn a deep appreciation for Native American culture at the Museum of the Cherokee Indian in Cherokee. Akona Lufty, a living recreation of a 225-year-old Cherokee village, can be found just off US 441. Hunting methods, basket weaving, and other ancient skills are demonstrated during guided tours. The Cherokees call this the Land of the Blue Mist. Today, it's known as Great Smoky Mountains National Park. These are the oldest mountains in the world, and nowhere in North America is a forest as diverse. It's where you can view thousands of varieties of trees, wild rhododendron, laurel, and plants, and wildlife observe visitors with curiosity. The Cherokees, like the many other Native American tribes, knew this was a special place. This land that one day became North Carolina. They lived it and loved it tenderly. And today's stewards of the land have learned well from the past. North Carolina's mountains, Piedmont, and coast are testaments to colonist Ralph Lane's description in 1585 that it was the goodliest land under the cope of heaven. And so it remains.
Coming soon from the producers of North Carolina, a video travel guide, North Carolina Bed and Breakfasts and Country Inns, Mountain Bed and Breakfasts and Country Inns, Coastal Bed and Breakfasts and Country Inns, North Carolina the Mountains, the Piedmont, and North Carolina the Coast. Also, North Carolina, a musical portrait, 30 minutes of pictures, music, and sounds of North Carolina nature. To order additional videotapes or to receive more information about future productions, write to Video Marketing Group Incorporated, P.O. Box 19665, Raleigh, North Carolina 27619. Or call 919-781-0500.